There's a reason this piece of forgotten Cold War tech has resurfaced among preppers, survivalists and historians alike, and by the end of this guide you'll understand why it deserves a place in your emergency kit today. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because on this channel we preserve real survival history without theatrics, shortcuts or watered-down explanations. What you're about to learn is the kind of information that used to give soldiers a literal edge in sub-zero conditions and has quietly influenced modern emergency heating solutions. The story starts in an era when failure wasn't an option. The Cold War demanded innovation in everything from weapon systems to winter survival. And one of the most overlooked inventions was the heating brick that simply never froze, never failed, and rarely gets talked about except in old engineering memos and survival training manuals. The Cold War forced militaries to solve the freezing gear problem in practical ways that actually worked. When troops were deployed in regions like Alaska, the Arctic Circle, or high-altitude European terrain, the problem wasn't just discomfort. Frozen gear could mean death. Batteries lost power. Water solidified. Metal tools became brittle. And soldiers on long patrols still had to melt snow, keep rations warm, and prevent frostbite. Engineers realized they needed a reliable, compact, ultra-durable heat source that didn't depend on weather, electricity, or expensive fuel. The result was a seemingly simple device, a dense, chemically activated heating brick capable of producing steady warmth for hours while remaining operational at temperatures that routinely shut down normal equipment. These bricks weren't glamorous and weren't considered high-tech by Cold War standards, but they became essential to survival. The heart of the non-freezing brick was its unique exothermic chemistry. The brilliance of the design came from combining minerals and metals that react safely with water to generate long-duration heat. Magnesium was often the base element because of its ability to burn hot, even when wet, and it could be blended with iron or salts to create a slow, controlled release instead of a flare-like burst. This meant soldiers could activate the brick with a splash of water, snow, or even breath moisture if they had nothing else. The reaction didn't depend on ambient temperature, which is exactly why the brick became a never-freeze solution. Even at -30 degrees, the internal chemistry still woke up instantly. If you want to replicate a civilian-safe version today, you can use a mix of magnesium shavings and iron oxide sealed inside a metal cup with air vents. A few drops of water will start the reaction. The key is controlling the rate of airflow, because that determines how long the heat lasts. Some Cold War designs used adjustable vents, so a soldier could choose a 15-minute burn for warming hands, or a multi-hour burn to keep rations thawed. This kind of engineering shows how much thought went into meeting survival needs without wasting materials. Cold War field manuals emphasized the brick's ability to protect mission-critical equipment. Heat wasn't just for the body. Photographic gear, small radios and batteries were all vulnerable to freezing. A brick placed inside a canvas pouch could maintain a stable internal temperature long enough for soldiers to operate cameras, send coded messages, or keep medical supplies usable. One documented example from a 1960s Arctic test involved medics using 2 heating bricks inside a wool blanket to keep morphine ampules from freezing solid during a multi-day march. The method worked because the brick produced consistent heat without forming steam or soot that could reveal a soldier's position. In your own prepping setup, you can apply this principle by storing a modern chemical warmer or a homemade controlled reaction brick inside your battery kit. Keeping lithium batteries warm can dramatically extend their life in an emergency. Place the brick in a heat-tolerant pouch, wrap the battery case with a cloth, and allow the heat to radiate gently. This replicates what Cold War units did in deep winter conditions, and honestly, it remains one of the simplest ways to prevent gear failure. The brick was also a food-saving tool at a time when hot meals meant morale and energy. Not everything was about strategy. Soldiers often relied on heating bricks to warm canned rations because, well, firing up a stove wasn't always safe. The brick produced a low-signature heat source, meaning no visible flame and no smoke. The can was set directly on top of a metal grid placed over the brick, and within minutes the meal became edible. The lesson here is that in emergencies you don't need a full cook stove to get warm food. A sustained exothermic brick can replace fuel when weight matters. Recreating this for practical prepping is straightforward. Place your heating brick or warmer under a metal cup, keeping at least ½ an inch of space for airflow. Add your meal and monitor the warmth. As long as your brick is generating consistent heat, you'll get warm food without broadcasting your location. This is especially useful for camping, night travel, and urban emergencies. The durability of these bricks made them superior to modern disposables. While today's hand warmers are cheap and convenient, most work once and get tossed. Cold War heating bricks were designed for repeated use. Some were rechargeable using new chemical cartridges. Others were made of ceramic composites that held heat like a thermal battery after activation. A fully charged brick could stay warm for 8 hours when insulated properly. This reliability made it worth carrying even when weight was limited. You can adopt this technique by using a ceramic fire brick or kiln brick heated over a stove or campfire. Once hot, wrap it in cloth and place it inside a sleeping bag or shelter. This approach mirrors the older style bricks that relied on heat retention instead of chemical reactions, and is entirely sustainable long-term. Many homesteaders still use this method for off-grid heating in small cabins because it works quietly and requires no fuel once warmed. The legacy of the Cold War heating brick lives on in practical prepping today. What made it invaluable then still makes it invaluable now. Reliability, simplicity, and performance in extreme conditions. Whether you rely on exothermic reactions or ceramic heat retention, the principle is the same. The goal is controlled, dependable warmth that does not freeze, does not require electricity, and does not quit when the temperature drops to dangerous levels. When you combine history with practical survival strategy, you get tools that don't just tell a story, they keep you alive. If you found this guide useful and want more historically grounded survival breakdowns, make sure you subscribe, share this with a fellow history buff, and help keep the knowledge alive.